Hello, everyone, and welcome back. And today we're going to give you an update on our South Texas investment market. This is Siwin Yi. And of course, my guest host is Janet Clement, our network realtor on the ground, presenting our opportunities there. Before we get to that, Janet, thank you for your time. I know you're very busy doing a lot of closings and transactions with a lot of investors from all over the US and all over the world for that matter to go over your very unique market opportunity.
Glad to be here.
So today we can do something different. We can do a Q&A. I'll be asking Janet some questions and Janet answer the best she can. Very high level, 10,000 foot level. My first question to you is, Janet, before when we do that, we've been working together since the latter part of last year. So we had some very good experience. So far, we have several closings in the past few months from our network investors within our network, and they were very good experience. Everything have went above their expectations. And we can talk about that also. And we have several additional network investors from my group are under contract, doing the loans and doing transactions. So about to close escrow very soon. And of course, several more of our investors have arranged to tour your area. What I find so fascinating with your market, because I know my investors very well, right? They're part of my network. They enjoy coming to tour your area prior or during the transaction. So they're very curious to see. And so far, several investors that have toured your area with you a few months ago, they came away very happy, very impressed with their tour. So thank you so much for doing that. So with that in mind, tell me why our investors are happy with their purchase with your fourplex, which you quad that you're presenting.
The number one goal is to find something they can keep in a portfolio for a long time. And when I first found South Texas in 2018, I had a lot of investors. I couldn't fulfill what they needed in California, where I was, and we were in some other states too. And also, I wanted to buy as a real estate agent. This is my 401k, right? I buy real estate. I feel more comfortable with that. My husband was in tech. He has a 401k, but real estate is where I want to place my money. So I place it carefully, and that's what I've continued to do with every one of my clients. I probably sold about 600 fourplexes in the last 5 years in this area, and every single one of them are doing better than ever and cash flowing. And it's not like you don't have move in, move outs. Of course you do. It's real estate. So we don't want them to have unrealistic expectations. But I pretty much know the developments and what their costs are going to be, when they're going to start needing to paint their units, different things like that. And the number one focus for you and for me is to find them a great investment to hold for a long time. So that is what we do day in, day out. Fortunately, I've been able to have the opportunity to work with quality builders that are going to work with them and very reputable. They don't have lawsuits on their books. They care about their reputation. Most of them have lots of family in town and are generational, and they are very respectable. And the first one I got involved with, the reason I have all these other builders is because the first one that we went and interviewed a few of them, just talking to them in 2018. And he is such a family man and so well connected in town. And I ended up going into one of the developments with him, and he's opened up all of his contacts to me. His name's Foed, and he's one of the best builders and one of our dear friends. So it's that kind of thing here in the Valley, where when they come, it's not Austin where you have the capital to go see. It's just a nice town. You have great restaurants and hotels. So they have a good experience because it's very clean, but it has some rural areas and it's very suburban. So you have a comfortable experience, lots of good restaurants and hotels. So it's easy.
Something you and I talked about before, not all builders are alike. Some are not as reputable. Some builders in South Texas, they do not provide ready to go quads, fourplexes. They they ask the buyer, the investors, to do a construction loan. They do not want builders that subject our investors to a construction loan. It will take 9 months to build, and then at the end of the day, those builders may go bankrupt, and then the construction loan that the investors put a lot of money in deposit could be gone. Again, that's why the value you bring to the table is that you have vetted those builders. You know who's good, who's bad. You are looking out for our investors' interests when they work with you. That's the true value you bring to the table. So I really appreciate that. You have high integrity. You are very successful. You are one of the top real estate person in the South Texas to cater to our out of state investors. Most of our investors coming from California. Let's get back to the high level. The high level is North South Texas is in the southeast corner of Texas. And we heard about the big four of Texas, like Houston, Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio. Yes, they've been around for a long time. Everybody know about the growth of Texas and those big four, but your area, South Texas, also called Hidalgo County, is approximately 1 million people already. So it's not a small town. I know there's a lot of towns. You have Alamo, you have Edinburgh, you have Far, you have a few other sub-market within this county spread out a little bit. But yeah, you guys are the fifth fastest growing population-wise of all the metros, like I said. So watch out, Big Four. The Big Four, Houston, Dallas, Austin, and San Antonio. Big Five is coming. The fifth, which is your area, Hidalgo County, South Texas, and so clear. And the numbers bear that out. We have done other videos. We have done other presentations where you look at the numbers. You can look at all the data, look at economic metrics to validate that you guys are up and coming one of the fastest growing metros, not only in Texas, in my view, but in the United States, one of the fastest metros, growing metros in the US moving forward. So again, I don't want too many people to learn about it. I don't want the mainstream media to learn about South Texas because I'm selfish in a way that we want to get all the opportunities to buy the fourplex at a low cost before competition comes in and just create all kind of frenzy. We don't want that. So we'll get in the front, the growth before the whole nation knows about South Texas and its amazing investment opportunities, especially with a brand new fourplex, like below 500. In our case, 545K, a quad, very good, beautiful location, very good quality construction at 545K. By breaking down 545K, each unit, each door is approximately $136,000 and it rents for $1,350. That's a 1% rule, 1% rent to value ratio. You can get that with fast growing area with new construction, 136K at $1,300 rent. This is amazing. The only comparable you can get is in the Midwest. And you can buy 100-year-old fourplex that may give you a 1% rent to value ratio, 1% rule, but you don't have to buy a 100-year-old fourplex somewhere in Detroit, Michigan, or Gary, Indiana, or Cleveland, Ohio, where those areas are not really growing. These are collar markets, but
And your expenses are going to eat up your cash flow.
yeah, this is vacancies, lower quality of tenant in those Midwest markets and whatever. But in your market, I compare your fourplex in South Texas, brand new, to a brand new fourplex in San Antonio, for example, which is 3 hours above South Texas. And to collect $1,500 rent per door on the fourplex in San Antonio, those fourplexes are selling for $900 to $1 million. And the only rent per unit around $1,450, $1,500. Whereas your per unit rent is $1,350. The rent could even go higher, but it's only $545K for the whole 4-unit quad. I just gave you guys out there listening the apple comparison. You're not going to find we're the fastest growing region in the US, South Texas, your market, 545K, brand new, great location, close to hospitals and colleges and what have you. But I compare this to any fourplex, any part of the country, you're not going to find anything comparable. So investors out there, if you're watching this video, don't waste your time. Don't waste hours and months and years. Compare the value of the fourplex that we are promoting in your market, South Texas.
We're in a unique opportunity because I think the only reason the prices are being held where they are is because of the interest rate. They're talking about it dropping 2 to maybe 3 times over the year, the Fed is, even though it's holding right now. But that's the only reason. Once that happens, the prices are gonna go up because land, we're just putting a project together for 2 years from now. Land, of course, since that's happening, landowners know that, land's getting real expensive. So the prices of the quads has to go up because the builders are gonna have to pay more for their lots. We're in such a unique opportunity where the ones that are built or ready to be built pretty quick in the next 6 months are gonna hold at that price. I don't know how long that'll hold, so I just feel real good about the people that are buying them. It's like, you're gonna be fine.
Jenna, what I hear you saying is at the current price point right now, as we speak, right now is April 2024, the first quarter of 2024, smart investors that see the value of current opportunities, even with 7% interest rate, they still cash flow mightily. Your product is a cash cow. But what I hear you saying is that the rent or projected to go higher because your rental market very strong. There are many more potential renters than there are available units to rent on your quads. That goes without saying. Like you said, once and if the interest rate, the mortgage rate goes higher, there's a lot of projections out there for this year and next year that the mortgage rate could come down from currently 7%, give or take right now, to like 6.5% or the low 6%. Once this mortgage rate come down, we can have frenzy. Yeah, in it's economics, it's real estate economics. It's a rate goes down, like you said, prices of this quads will be higher. So what's the cost of waiting? The cost of waiting to buy these quads right now, since it's a left competition, you get a lower price, you lock in your purchase price, and you lock in the mortgage rate. You can always refinance that mortgage rate in the future, right? I tell my investors, as I educate them, you date the mortgage rate, but you marry the income property.
Yeah. Once they see what you have shown them, which is the indicators, right? When you research an area like that and you see those indicators, you're not only buying something that cash flows today, you are doing some speculating with the educated guidelines, which you see all of the jobs coming in, the businesses and all the infrastructure growing. So all the indicators are there. I have breakfast every couple of months with one of my builders is the president of one of our biggest banks. He's also sits on the Federal Reserve, very well connected. So I always find out stuff from him. He always gives me the skinny on lots of things happening. And he even said these words. He said, he's lived here his whole life. And he said, I never saw the growth coming, how it's coming. He said, I knew we were going to have growth. I'm in on most of the projects going on in the valley, but I never saw this much growth. When you hear that from the top financial people, listen up. It makes you want to buy more.
I agree. You look at the price per square footage, whether it's a single family home or the fourplex that you're presenting. If you do comparable to the other four Texas market, like we discussed, Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, the median price of a single family home, I did my research additionally recently with the Redfin, the website Redfin. They show the median price of a single family home in Hidalgo County is only in the mid 200s, right? Or maybe the 250, 260K. So this is a very low price point. And because of the growth in your market, I believe the demand is high and the supply is still low. So when you have low supply and high demand and growing influx of population, you have migration of people from other parts of Texas and other part of the US coming into South Texas because South Texas have no affordability. There's no state income tax and high cash flow in the market and so many jobs, so many construction. You have hospital being built, medical clinics, you have colleges and universities and medical college here in South Texas. You have construction companies, high-tech companies, aerospace companies moving into the area. These are the data what you just talked about. So paint a picture for this year and beyond in South Texas, in your market, with respect to fourplex and the rental market. with the kind of tenant that are occupy, kind of tenant that's occupying this local paying 1350 now, but it could get higher. So what is your, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what do you see the short-term growth for the next 1 to 2 years in South Texas and the long-term growth on a high level? What are your thoughts?
As far as rent amounts or price points?
Both.
I just did a pretty detailed spreadsheet for one of my builders who's building in North Edinburgh, and the rental amounts over there are already at 1,600. So that is it's in a more congested area, and the project right next door has a waiting list for apartment. So we're very excited about that. That's going to be a real high end. And so would that flow more south, which is only 10 minutes away? Of course it will. So they're getting those kind of rents already in Edinburgh. So I definitely see them going up over the next 5 years, would be very safe to say, to 1,600 a door. Price points, that's a good question. Oh, I hope we stay under 600. That would be wonderful. But the price per lot is getting pretty pricey. My builders are crunching and they love to sell a 1% rule product. They all know the 1% rule. They all like to provide that for their investors, but it's going to get tough
Yep.
for them to do because they've got to pay their workers a workman's comp and not just the materials. They have the ground and the insurance and so many things that they have to cover to deliver a finished product. I'd love to see it stay under 600, but in the next 5 years, we may be on the 650s.
That's why people have to pull the trigger, right? And there's no need to wait. Okay, just one question I want to ask, which is posed by one of my investors looking into your market, into your product, the fourplex, the quad. Now, what if this individual buy the fourplex or buy? Sometimes we have 6 units, 8 units, or even higher, similar kind of floor plan, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, a 6 unit or 8 unit, brand new per unit per door, price at like 120K, and it rents for 1,000, something like that, right? And the fourplex right now, 545K at 136K per door, which is amazing, 1350. Now, what if an investor closes escrow on a fourplex and or even a eightplex brand new? Then the property manager, your property manager, which you have several, try to rent them at the same time. Are they gonna or that is it been a challenge because there's 6 or 7 potential tenant properties are being marketed for rent at the same time? Or that gonna impact the competition for rent? It might lower the rent, or how does that work? The timing of the rent?
Always. We're used to it because when you build a new development and you have anywhere from 25 to 60 fourplexes, a few triplexes, duplexes, sixplexes in a gated community, of course, it takes a while to saturate. So our property managers know that from the time the first one comes online, and we try and stagger them, but if they're different builders, oftentimes you can't do that. But our property managers know that once it's stabilized, which is the only reason you may let somebody rent for $12.95 instead of $13.50 because of the newness of the development and a lot of competition. And once it stabilizes and it's sold and the property managers say from the time the first door comes due and the project is finished maybe a year later, it takes about another 12 months to totally stabilize and get it to be a normal market where people move in, people move out. And then you don't have that so much. It's not like you won't have more than one sign in the whole development as far as property managers. They're only allowed to put a small sign in the front. So it doesn't look ugly. There's very strict rules about craziness, but they seem to rent. I think it's all about knowing when someone moves out, it might take 2 months depending on the time of year. The only time of year that it gets really slow around here for renting is November through January. Very much a family town. I know that's normal everywhere else, but they might not even see that in New York. But here, families want to be settled for the holidays. It's not like we can't rent things because it still happens during the holidays, but it is slower.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about location. So if you have a great location, Even though there's a lot of for rent signs, I can't tell you how many developments, and they always fill up, and we always get tenants. And my property managers are rock stars. They seem to keep them rented. So that tells you the tenants are there.
Yeah, yeah. So far, you and I have been interacting for the past 6 months, and including right now, as you and I experience our investors closing, oftentimes prior to closing these fourplex, one or two of the units already been rented by your property managers, and upon closing escrow, maybe a few weeks after that, then the remaining units are rented as well. Yeah,
I have 5 fourplexes myself. And in my last development, I just closed on 2 about a year ago, and I had 4 of my tenants move out all at once. Their leases were done. They just happened to lease all at the same time, and they all moved out. I was like, "Oh my goodness." Property manager, it took about 2 months, and I am 100% occupied. 100%. So I just give so much credit. Property managers work harder than anyone on the planet. As you can imagine what they have to do, they're full service. So move in, move out, cleaning, touch-ups, repairs, landscape, and they're just amazing. And that's, you need to choose that person or that team carefully, which is what's good to go through a Me&C wing, because at the end of the day, they're going to be in charge of your property. So you want someone good that's not going to just put it on the internet and forget about it. So my property managers don't do that. They're so good.
yep. That's what my experience so far working with you and your team since we began this relationship. Yeah, so I'm very happy with the was glowing endorsement by my investors who recently purchased from you, as well as my current investors who's under contract, and my future investors, they are coming aboard.
And just to say, your investors can choose who they want to choose. It's really against Texas real estate law for me to tell them who they have to use or even make them believe who they have to use. So we'll give them options. Sometimes it's a personality fit. I have one that has a lot of doors, and he's not going to probably be available to catch on the phone right away because he has like 1,500 doors, but he's awesome. And then I have another one that she will get back to you really quickly. So sometimes it's a fit for that investor.
Yeah, briefly, yeah, of course. Briefly, yeah, good to hear that the units are being rented very quickly. What's the reason behind that? I know we talk about hospitals, many medical clinics in the area, and I don't want to forget for the back end of our presentation. I don't want to be too much longer on our video presentation, 10 more minutes. I want to briefly discuss midterm rental, something I have a very passion about, and your market is really up and coming with the midterm rental space. But before we get to that, so in terms of rental market, uh, I have to assume that because of all the universities and colleges are graduating young people who's entering the job world and they need to rent, and also the medical health professional, healthcare industry jobs, the young workers, young nurses, young healthcare workers, when they graduate, they need a place to rent. They're not ready to buy yet because they don't qualify to buy a house. I suspect and of course, other people. There are all kinds of young millennials they need to rent. So therefore, am I to assume the rental market is very, very strong? There are more tenants, there are more renters than there are available units of rent because of this infrastructure growth, job growth, and from all different kind of industry in your market.
It's diverse. I think the last tenants I've gotten, I don't always see the applications, but it's always interesting. I ask my builders and property managers where they're coming from. And I have a couple that are both managers at Walgreens. I have a foreman at a concrete place. It's I have a general manager of a Gold's Gym. There's so many jobs, just like a regular town when you drive around and see the lube and oil places, all the things that you can imagine to take care of 1,000,000 people. It's not just the hospitals or just the big engineering firms. It's all the things that cater to people living day in, day out, grocery store clerks. There's so many different jobs in the area. So I think we've given them a good overview of what that means, but it's not just one industry. Of course, there's developments that are closer to hospitals than others, but nothing is more than 20 minutes apart. And they say the average in the US, the average person will travel 18 minutes to work, and that's their comfort zone. So we're right in there no matter what they do.
Oh yeah, very good to hear. So the future of a rental market very strong. As many as the full plex and developments you guys are building for the foreseeable future. So what I hear you saying that you're confident based on your research because you're on the ground, you have boots on the ground, that there will be more tenants who are willing to occupy these brand new units than there are available fourplex and sixplex and whatever you have on the ground. So you do not believe you're going to oversaturate the multi-unit rental market anytime soon for the future. Is that?
They could. That's up to the city. City of Far and the city of Edinburgh now have put a moratorium on new development. So that is a city planning. If it's a good city, they will control the growth, and they have to control the school systems and all the families that'll filter into that, and the fire and police departments. So they have there's I don't think I even told you that Edinburgh is being placed on moratorium for new growth right. So they will play catch up, right? And make sure they have all the infrastructure. So that keeps our tenant base strong, is the city. And they have to widen streets. There's so much they have to do when new growth is coming in.
Yeah, that's reassuring. Yeah, what I hear you saying is that to prevent over construction of these multi units, fourplex and what have you,
The city will stop it.
that the city will stop it. So therefore, if the demand for rentals continue to increase for the foreseeable future, and then you have limited construction, limited units for us to rent, then create a good rental market. So our investors will have very low vacancy, very low turnover, and the cash flow the rents is projected to consistently rise long term, right?
Yeah. And I think just keep your expectations. Don't expect to raise your rents $200 a door in 12 months. Keep your expectations realistic. And then if it happens, great. But when you're buying, just you have wiggle room in your pricing and your rentals as it is. So even if you had to come down $50 because it's a new development. And so I always go over that with them as they're in contract, and but so far so good.
Yeah, good. I really appreciate honesty and transparency in my questions that tells me that you are extremely.
And part of being an investor, I had one of the big property manager, he's always like, Janet, it's great to have 2 and 3 bedrooms because what worst case scenario, you can lower the price. You can't add a bedroom. So he's like, it's a great rental product for our family and young couples market. And we have a lot of young professional that are single, married, on their way up. And if they go to buy a house, it's usually about 300,000. The ones that you're seeing less are a shell. They don't come with appliances or blinds or backyards or anything. So that payment every month is going to be close to 3,000 a month. So that's a big jump for a couple. Well, can I rent for 1350 or can I buy for 3,000 a month? That's a lot of money for them. So they'll have nice cars and they don't like to not have nice furniture. And so they rent. It's a big jump. We like that gap because it keeps our tenants.
Yeah. So, Jenna, what I hear you saying is that the reason why you're not promoting single family home residential as a rental situation for our investor because the cash flow is very minimal because typical good high quality single family home, if an investor would buy it, they have to pay, 270K, 300K, and they'd be lucky to rent the house for $2,000 at 25% down payment. The investor is not going to cash flow in your market, respecting single family home. That's why you're not promoting them, which I understand clearly, and I agree. That's why the next best thing is to promote this brand new high quality fourplex with low price per door is only 136K, renting for 1350 on a 3-2, and on a 2-2 maybe rents for 1295. I don't know. But you're gonna find a lot of the rental pool expands greatly when a person they could budget, person making $30,000, $40,000 a year, they are more than willing to rent one of the unit, only 1350. That's a no-brainer, right? Brand new home, good construction, good quality, indoor, outdoor, all the amenities on these fourplex development. Am I right in my assessment?
And that's why I always like to call it the ultimate fourplex, because you can still get that 30-year fixed product. And if you have move outs, you only have a 25% vacancy. Chances are you're not going to have all 4 of yours move out like I did. I'd never had that happen before. And so even if you have 2 of them move out, you have a 50% vacancy. Where if you have a single family and you have a move out, you have a 100% vacancy. So it's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay. One final point. I know we overran our time. Thank you for your time. I'm so busy. One final thing I want to say, you don't have to elaborate on my question because I'm very passionate about this and I've been promoting this for my investors and others that your market is prime to enter the mid-term rental space, meaning renting, fully furnishing a particular unit and renting to anybody who want to rent for 30, 60, 90 to 120 days. We talk about traveling nurse, traveling healthcare professionals, digital nomads, corporate short-term renters, and the whole lot of people, they don't mind paying 50% higher rent on a fully furnished rental. Furniture zero, flat screen TV, yeah, Netflix, everything there, kitchen utensils, it's all done. And people are willing to pay at least 50% of the normal long-term tenant rate. So again, you don't have to comment too much because that your investment philosophy is to do the long-term rental, which is fine. Our investors have the ability to potentially convert just to try it out, at least one of the unit for and fully furnish it, pay eight to $10,000, fully furnished, marketing through .com or even Airbnb to do the mid-term rental space. And of course, one of the property managers are willing to help manage the mid-term rental space as well for our investors. So we will continue to slowly and gradually market a hybrid model potential. Any investors that want to take a chance to test the market out in your market, I believe it's going to work well because of the medical clinics and hospitals and colleges and universities and all those. A lot of people willing to rent 1, 2, 3, 4 months and willing to pay 50% or at least 50% higher gross rent than a normal long-term tenant. For example, long-term tenant paying $13.50 on one of the unit, you could multiply by 50%. Someone are willing to pay $19 to $2,000 per month, which is not all that much more to get a fully furnished unit with good amenities and at that price. You have a quick comment, please do it. You don't need it because I've done my research. The mid-term rental space is actually is growing very fast in other parts of the country. Just for additional note that the mid-term rental space in other markets are not nearly as good as vibrant as your market. My personal opinion, based on my research for the past couple of years, so I feel very confident. Although we don't have a track record with your market, because your market in a way is brand new in terms of mid-term rental space, but I feel good about it. And I'm slowly marketing to our investors to have a option B, secondary option. If they want to, they don't have to. So just give you some heads up. Uh, that is my passion. That's what I'm doing in your market. So each individual investor have to determine whether they want to rent all 4 units as a long-term rental, which is fine, or take a chance and give it a try, rent do 1 unit with a fully furnished mid-term rental lounging and we go from there. So what are your quick thoughts about that?
I love it. It's being done. I believe it's wide open. I think I'm excited about it. I don't do property management, but I have actually 2 that will accommodate it because not all property managers are going to, because it's a little bit more maintenance, but they're fantastic. So I'm excited about the prospect.
Okay, as we conclude this, Janet, I really this presentation, this video have gone much longer than we anticipated because your answers to my questions are so insightful. A lot of my questions, my investors have been posing questions to me, and I'm just relaying the message. So when you have covered so many points about your market, so many questions that our investors are asking because our investors are curious, they are motivated, data, and more of my investors are targeting your market than my other market that I'm presenting within my network. Just so you know, when my network is in California, most of my investors are in California. So they have the motivation, they have the capital necessary to put trade in the market. And many of them are pulling the trigger through my guidance and my research and my education. And to surround my team, my network with such a honest professional as yourself in your market, really uh, is icing on the cake. So, therefore, one quick recap from you before we go. I want to hear what your final thoughts.
It's my pleasure. The people that I get to work with now because of you are so wonderful. I've really enjoyed working with them and connecting them with property managers and getting them through the appraisal inspection process, getting them videos and pictures and whatever they need to feel comfortable accommodating their visit. So I look forward to more in the future. It's just such a pleasure. And I appreciate everything you do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Daniel. So we have a very prosperous relationship between us. Thank you so much, Janet Clement from South Texas. Appreciate your insight. Thank you so much. This is Steven Lee. Thanks for watching this video. I will see you in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.